So, Level 5, the company behind Professor Layton, Yokai Watch, Decapolice, and many more titles, is using AI in their games, in their process. And to be clear, this is not a totally new story, but this has kind of blown up in terms of like how many people are talking about it due to the level 5 vision that was this week, where it was very, 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 very obvious that they were using AI because there were bits of AI art seen specifically in the last game presented. And I'll come out and say it, I absolutely hate AI. I think it does a complete disservice to all of us when we use a computer to create something creative that's supposed to be creative. And I don't really care how small it is, how unimportant it is. As an artist and creative myself, I really don't think that there's any such thing as a small part or an unimportant part in the creative process. And my philosophy is that if it's important enough that you want it to be created in the first place, it should be created like with the love and care that an artist is going to use. I know some people disagree. I know some people really disagree when it comes to things like coding or some of like the healthcare applications of AI. I don't really care about that for this video. I'm really just talking about like art and things there. But all that being said too, I really, even when people disagree with the reasons that I hate AI, I really don't understand how there is any coherent argument against the environmental causes and issues that it has, even when it's doing something as simple as collating Google results or summarizing a email. I think it is so stupid, and I think whatever. So all that to say, that's my bias right out the gate. I hate it. I think it's stupid, and I'm never gonna like it in any application. That being said, I have unique and special and different reasons for hating it when level 5 is using it, and I want to talk about that today, as well as spell out the different ways that they're using AI so that you as a consumer can understand that. And to be clear, they're not totally hiding this, but they definitely aren't advertising this. The sources that I'm going to be talking about pretty much all come from one primary source, and that was a report that was submitted from Level 5 to the Japanese government as part of a government-conducted study on AI and how it impacts intellectual property. So I have the slides used in that presentation in the description of the video. Obviously the slides, there's images, but it's also in Japanese. There are also a couple articles and a couple of posts from people talking about it. So all the resources that I'm using for this are going to be linked down in the description below, and I really recommend checking them out for yourself. I'm not going to talk about all of the uses of AI, but I'm going to spell out enough that really kind of highlights the breadth of ways that they're using it. So I am not a video game creator, but here is my very basic breakdown of how you create and sell a game. So first, step 1, you need to have an idea for the game. You need to create concept art, concepts for the story, some basic story beats, create all of that, lay it out, write it all down. There you go. You have the bones of your game, okay? Step 2, you're going to develop the game. This is done with like coding, things like that. You make some assets as stand-ins. Again, they might not be your final assets. From what I've read, they usually aren't your final assets. They're just stand-ins. All right, cool. Then you iterate that, blah, blah, blah. Then you go to step 3, adding in your final assets and finalizing the game so that it's pretty, so that it looks the way it's supposed to look, it functions the way it's supposed to function, etc. Then 4, you market the game. You tell people about the game, you create trailers for the game, you write blurbs about the game. Perfect, all right? 4 basic steps. Level 5 is using AI in each single one of those steps, except for step 3, pretty much. That's crazy to me. And Level 5's justification seems to be, well, no AI, no assets created by AI is going to be in the final game. We're not firing artists. We're not replacing artists. We're just using it to make efficiencies throughout the process. And this is really faulty logic for 2 glaring reasons to me. First, it's honestly shocking to me that they can even pretend like this isn't taking jobs or it's not going to take jobs in the future, especially when we're talking about steps 2 and 4, which are developing the game with stand-in assets, and 4 with the marketing. So with that, let's talk a little bit more in terms of specifics on how they're using AI. So this first bit is regarding Yokai Watch. The AI learned from multiple 2D images of the main character in past games, outputting a variety of 3D images with different lighting, expressions, and backgrounds. The developer uses these as a guide for creating the right atmosphere in the game. So that's concept art for the character. For their soccer RPG in Ozma 11 Victory Road, Level 5 used parts of AI images to create sections of the in-game backgrounds, such as large crowds and groups of buildings. They then combined these AI segments with the backgrounds and character illustrations created by artists. In addition to image generation, Level 5 is also using other types of AI. The company is using ChatGPT for character creation proposals and the text-to-speech synthesizer software VoiceVox to generate temporary voices for characters. For game promotion, they are using the programming assistance tool GitHub Copilot and Genie AI, ChatGPT, to generate code and polish up game descriptions in order to create websites in a more efficient manner. I haven't seen it spelled out so bluntly from Level 5, but if I had to hazard a guess, I would say that their argument for how it's not replacing jobs goes something like this. We're not replacing artists and voice actors and website creators. We're freeing up their time to create more art. Now they don't have to do the tedious stuff like making a 3D version of a 2D character or editing copy and coding websites. And I can see at first how that might seem great on a surface level. Level 5 has 300 employees. And if they cut down the tedious work and make things more efficient, maybe those 300 employees can go from creating 2 games a year to 4 games a year. Obviously, those are just like example numbers. But the problem is that what happens when budget gets tight and corporate goes, you know what? We're currently making 4 games with 300 employees. Well, we used to make 2 games anyways a year, so why don't we go back to 2 games and now we only need 150 employees to make 2 games? Or alternatively, what happens when they go, budgets are tight? We've already been using AI for a ton of steps in the process and that seems to be going well, so we might as well just amp up AI. If we amp it up enough, then we can still make 4 games a year with only 150 employees. And those people are going to get cut. And then they just hire contractors to fill in any gaps that they have. And contractors are still an important part of every economy, but as maybe you've noticed with things like Uber Eats, things like that, this is a huge discussion with contracted employees because the issue is that they don't get benefits. They're not paid full time. It's not stable work. They don't get things like insurance, retirement benefits, things like that. It's a big economical problem. Not going into here, but blah, blah, blah. But you can see how AI is like, obviously it's going to create a position where companies are going to fire people. I don't know how anyone is pretending, even for a second, like that's not going to happen. And I haven't even mentioned contractors specifically yet. When we're talking about things like voice actors and they're saying, oh, well, we just use them for placeholder lines. Those are still billable hours that a real voice actor could have done for you. And again, my point earlier, I don't care if it's just a placeholder. If it's important enough to you that you want a placeholder there, it's important enough that the people who create that art, who do those tasks for you, they deserve to get paid. Especially when you are using products that AI made that is trained off of things that those people made in the first place. I mean, where do you think the 2D characters, the 2D Yokai Watch characters that they're training off of, who made those? Artists. And you're literally using them to replace the artists in the first place. Obviously, all of that is pretty in line with really common critiques of AI. I don't think I've made any argument that is unique and stands out. But what really gets me, what really gets me and is so disappointing is the second glaring reason why this is a terrible idea, in my opinion. And that is how they're using it in the first step. They're using AI to create the concepts of the game. That's the game! That's the whole game! I don't understand! So this next part that I'm talking about, they didn't mention what game it was, but it seems to be Decapolice pretty glaringly, alright? Using a get-explain-about-crime function, taking a quest name and summary as arguments, ChatGPT imagines the rest and provides a complete overview of a case for the player to investigate, such as the key characters, how the crime took place, and who the culprit is, what pieces of evidence can be found, ... The example given is a quest called The Secret of the Futuristic City, with the following summary. A famous scientist was murdered in Neo City, and the results of his research have been stolen. From there, ChatGPT gives a list of characters with names, ages, a brief summary of who they are, and what role they play in the story. The famous scientist from the initial pitch becomes Professor John Harris, a 45-year-old scientist who made a groundbreaking innovation. Meanwhile, the culprit, spoilers, potential spoilers for Decapolice. I do not believe that this is going to be in the final game, but potential spoilers. Skip ahead 15 seconds. Okay. The culprit is his former colleague and rival Adam Smith, who committed the murder using poisonous gas in order to steal the prototype of a brand new energy source. All of this data is provided in a convenient Excel spreadsheet format, which can be used by the development team as a reference to create the quest. Other generated data includes character stats, such as their HP, strength, defense. So, quick question, let's take a step back. What is Decapolice about? Well, according to the Nintendo's website, Decapolice, a crime suspense RPG from Level 5, developers of the Layton series, will be released on Nintendo Switch in 2023. Okay. The main character, a rookie detective named Harvard, hunts down criminals in a huge open-world crime-ridden city, traveling back and forth between physical and virtual reality. Look forward to a mysterious detective story with investigations in virtual space. Oh, okay. So that's literally the entire game. That is literally the entire game. It's a mystery story, and you're telling me that you gave AI one sentence. You came up with one sentence on your own. You gave that to AI, and it came up with literally the entire, not only the details of the story, but the stats for the characters themselves. It's literally a mystery game where you use clues, you meet suspects, you use your powers of deduction, and the clues that you're given, the suspects that you're given, etc., and you use that to solve the mystery. That is AI. All of that is AI based. Where is the art? Where is the creativity? Also, AI by nature can only recombine things that already exist. I mean, you can just see from these graphs of certain word usage how much random words have gone up, because all AI knows how to do is just spit out tropes, spit out same things over and over and over again. All you're doing by creating a mystery game using AI, using it to write the entire plot, who the culprit is, how he did it, the clues, all that, all you're doing is telling me as a prospective buyer that this mystery that you've created will not be new, will not be innovative, and it's just going to be a bunch of shit that I've already seen before, recombined and spit back out. And obviously, pieces of media that are made by humans also sometimes end up being pieces of shit that just have things I've seen before a million times recombined and spit back out. But the difference here is that when you use AI, there is literally no other option but that to be the output. That's what's going to be. That's what it's going to be. You have kneecapped the creative process by handing a living, breathing, true creative artist a steaming pile of shit from a computer and said, here, polish this. And it's interesting too, because that first article that I quoted, they seem to really like AI, and they have completely glossed over this use of it, instead just choosing to end the article with this. The use of AI in creative industries continues to be a contentious topic, amid criticisms that it is soulless and concerns that it could be used to replace human talent. Also, this sounds like it was written by AI. Just saying. Level 5, however, seems to focus on always having humans direct, rearrange, and finalize what the AI does, using AI purely as an assistive tool rather than a way to replace people. In their transparent presentation document, the Japanese developer has shown that AI can be an effective tool for creating basic data, making proposals, and improving quality. Seems like maybe showcasing the way that they use AI to literally come up with the foundation and bones of the game might be a little bit too close to those soulless critiques that you've mentioned. And I just cannot comprehend this. Why make a game? Why make art? Why do anything? Why pursue any money-making endeavor that is supposedly in the name of art if you are going to use a computer to come up with the most basic bare bones element of it? And it's disgusting to me that Level 5 is trying to pretend like this isn't going to impact artists. So let's just take them at their face value for a thought experiment here. Okay, if we take them at face value and say, sure, you're never going to fire artists, you're never going to change the number of hours that contractors are working for you, all that will always stay the same. How are artists ever supposed to have a chance and a space to showcase their own ideas? How are they ever supposed to learn and get a chance to train and flex and build those creative muscles when you have taken away the most basic, most exciting part of the creative process, which is just a blank screen, a blank piece of paper, starting from literally nothing and coming up with an exciting story, with an exciting character design, an exciting background, like anything? Do you know how many ideas are never even going to come into existence because less and less time and money is devoted to that part of the creative stage where every single detail is up to you to make, to create, to literally birth into existence? And I'm sure that people will say, oh, well, when the artists go back and refine the AI, they can change those things. They can adjust them. They can add in the details that they want. And to be perfectly blunt and honestly a bit inflammatory, if you believe that, you are not an artist in any way that is meaningful to me. And I'm an artist myself. I sew, I draw, I paint, I make costumes. I do pretty much everything in my free time is something creative. And there is nothing more exciting to me as a creative person than that moment where you are imagining things, where you are deciding, where you are making every single decision by building the literal foundation of the game with a computer that spits out shit that is just made from already existing things. Level 5 has already halved the possible number of creative decisions that are going to be made throughout this process. New stories, innovative characters, subversive narratives, all of those things are going to appear less and less, if they even appear at all, in the games. And as somebody who is a huge fan of Professor Layton, a huge fan of the absolutely zany, creative, oftentimes illogical storylines that we see in the original 6 games, it's a real shame to me. It is a real shame and a real loss to me. And speaking of Professor Layton, there is no proof that AI has been used in the development of the new world of Steam. I personally just have a really hard time believing that. I know it's pretty far in development, but if that's what they've done with Decapolice, a game that is supposed to have been, launched this year, I really have very little doubts in my mind that they have used AI in the creation of New World of Steam. And to be clear, I'm not saying that you should boycott the game. I'm not even saying that I'm going to boycott the game and not buy it. Honestly, I don't know. I am still just like reeling from this, and really this video is just a cathartic opportunity for me to air my grievances and for me to at least let people know that they're doing this, so that if that matters enough to you where you wouldn't want to buy an AI made game, that you don't buy it. And then the last thing too is that this video is honestly somewhat of an obituary for the level 5 that we grew up on and that we love, because it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. And the last thing is the AI that we did see in the trailer, in the level 5 vision. It looked like literal poop from a butt. So that being said, I'm done with my rant, and I'm just going to end this video with a couple of pieces from real artists from the Layton community. So thank you so much. Hopefully, next time I will be back with a more fun and exciting and not angry video, but have a great day, everybody. Thank you.